He wasn't looking for a hero, just a companion. But when Daniel walked into the shelter that day, he stopped at the one cage everyone avoided. The sign read, "Dangerous. Do not approach." Behind the rusted bars, a pair of trembling amber eyes met his. There was fear in them, but also something else: pain, longing, a spark of hope. "That dog's trouble," the staff warned. Daniel didn't listen. He opened the cage anyway. That single act of compassion would ignite a story no one could have imagined. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The shelter was quiet that morning, too quiet. Rows of metal cages lined the cold concrete walls, echoing with the occasional whimper or bark. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and loneliness. Staff moved between kennels, feeding, cleaning, comforting, but their eyes always skipped one particular cage. In the far corner, behind rusted bars, sat a large, scruffy German shepherd with matted fur and haunted eyes. His name tag had faded, but everyone knew who he was, the problem dog. No one approached him anymore. He'd been returned 3 times. Untrainable, dangerous, aggressive, those words followed him like a curse. When visitors passed by, he didn't bark or lunge. He simply stared, silent and broken, as if he'd already accepted his fate. Then, one afternoon, a man named Daniel walked in. He wasn't looking for the perfect pet. He was looking for something real. His gaze swept past the playful puppies and the wagging tails until it stopped on the silent one in the corner. The dog's amber eyes met his for a brief second, and something unspoken passed between them. While others saw a lost cause, Daniel saw a survivor. And in that moment, a story neither of them expected quietly began. Daniel stood before the cage, his heart pounding softly against his ribs. The shelter manager hesitated beside him. "Sir, that one's not like the others," she warned quietly. "He's unpredictable. He bites." Daniel didn't answer. He simply crouched down, his eyes level with the frightened dog pressed tightly into the back corner. The shepherd's fur was rough, his body trembling, his gaze sharp yet full of sorrow. Slowly, Daniel extended his hand through the bars. The dog growled low, a warning rumble that made the air tense. But Daniel didn't pull back. He spoke softly, almost whispering. "It's okay, boy. I'm not here to hurt you." The trembling grew less violent. The growl faded into silence. For a long moment, they just stared at each other, two souls scarred in different ways. Then, the dog did something unexpected. He inched forward, nose twitching, cautiously sniffing Daniel's fingers. The shelter staff froze in disbelief. The man smiled faintly. "There you go," he murmured, his voice calm and steady. When the papers were finally signed, the staff exchanged uneasy glances. As Daniel opened the cage, the shepherd hesitated, paw lifted mid-step like he didn't believe it was real. Then, with one cautious move, he stepped out into the light. For the first time in years, he was free. Though neither of them knew that true freedom was still to come, the first night was uneasy. The German shepherd sat motionless near the living room wall, watching Daniel with cautious eyes. He didn't touch the food bowl. He didn't wag his tail. Every creak of the wooden floor made him flinch. Daniel moved gently, speaking in a low, calm tone, giving the dog space but never distance. "You're safe now, buddy," he whispered before turning off the lights. The only reply was silence, and the sound of the wind brushing against the windows. Days passed slowly. Daniel left the door to his room open, hoping the dog might come closer. Each night, he'd find the shepherd lying near the threshold, never crossing it, as if waiting for permission. Trust wasn't something that came easily to either of them, but it was building, quietly, piece by piece. Then one evening, Daniel woke to the faint sound of growling. The dog was at the window, ears sharp, body rigid. Outside, a shadow moved, someone trying to force open the back gate. Daniel's pulse quickened. Before he could react, the shepherd darted forward, barking fiercely, his voice echoing through the night. The intruder fled, leaving nothing but silence and shattered nerves behind. As Daniel exhaled, he realized something profound. The dog who once feared everything had just protected the man who believed in him. The air outside was thick with rain when the break-in finally happened. Daniel had just drifted to sleep when a sharp crash shattered the silence. The dog's sudden bark jolted him awake. Before Daniel could move, the German Shepherd was already on his feet, ears up, body tense. Growling at the sound of footsteps inside the house that a masked figure stepped through the doorway, flashlight cutting through the dark. "Stay back," Daniel shouted, but the intruder didn't listen. In that instant, the shepherd lunged, a blur of fur and fury. The man stumbled backward, dropping his weapon, the flashlight rolling across the floor. The room erupted into chaos, barking, shouting, the sound of struggle echoing against the walls. The intruder bolted toward the window, crashing through it to escape into the storm. Daniel stood frozen, heart racing, staring at the dog who stood guard between him and danger, chest heaving, eyes still blazing with adrenaline. Slowly, Daniel knelt beside him. "Easy, boy. It's over," he whispered, resting a trembling hand on his head. Police sirens soon filled the night. Officers surveyed the scene, stunned at what they saw. "That the same dog from the shelter?" one of them asked, disbelief heavy in his voice. Daniel nodded, still shaken. "Yeah, that's him." As the storm eased outside, Daniel looked at the soaked, trembling shepherd and felt a truth settle deep within him. This wasn't a dangerous animal. This was a protector who had finally found something worth guarding again. The next morning, the world outside looked calm again, but Daniel couldn't shake the thought of the dog's fierce reaction. There was more behind those eyes, something deeper than fear or instinct. Curious, he scheduled a visit with the local vet to check for injuries. As the vet scanned the dog's neck, the machine beeped. "He's chipped," she said softly. "Let's see who he really is." The computer screen flickered to life, revealing an old record. The shepherd's name was Shadow. He had once belonged to a family that perished in a house fire 2 years ago. When rescuers found him, he was lying beside the burned remains, refusing to leave their side. Since then, he'd been passed from home to home, each time more frightened, more misunderstood, until he was branded dangerous. Daniel's chest tightened. The puzzle finally made sense. The trembling, the fear, the aggression. None of it was anger. It was grief. He knelt down, meeting Shadow's eyes. "You were never bad, just broken," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. The dog lowered his head and gently rested it against Daniel's knee. In that quiet moment, man and dog found something they'd both lost: trust. Daniel stroked his fur and promised softly, "No one will ever give up on you again." Word spread quickly about the night Daniel's dog saved his life. The story of the most hated dog in the shelter transformed into something miraculous. Reporters visited, cameras flashed, and soon, everyone in town knew Shadow, the hero who had once been feared. The same people who had once walked past his cage now came just to see him. Children giggled as they played with him in the park. Elderly neighbors brought him treats. Wherever he went, smiles followed. Shadow walked proudly beside Daniel, his tail high, his eyes no longer haunted. He had finally found his purpose again, not as a guard dog, but as a symbol of forgiveness and second chances. One afternoon, Daniel visited the shelter where it all began. On the wall hung a new photo, Daniel and Shadow together, smiling. Beneath it, a small plaque read, "Every soul deserves a second chance." As they left, Shadow turned back toward the rows of cages and gave a soft, contented bark, as if saying goodbye to the past. Daniel smiled, resting a hand on his head. "Come on, buddy," he whispered. "Let's go home." This time, Shadow didn't hesitate. He was already home.